WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network welcomes you to the Live Your Life Without Limits show with your host, Ian White, life fulfillment coach, who helps people get out of their own way so they can live the life they were meant to.
Well, welcome everybody to the Live Your Life Without Limits show. I'm Ian White, your life fulfillment coach and the president of Coaching Deconstructed. Today I have a really special show lined up for you, and I just want to go into the premise, the basis for what this show is all about. And for me, living your life without limits is all about taking a leap, living a life that's fulfilling, that's passionate, that's happy, and that really, really lights you up. And what I want to point out also is the fact that this is an evolution for all of us. We're all on a journey together of figuring it out, finding out what makes us happy, and then moving towards that more often than not. And I want to have real-life conversations with people who have done this. So this is my first show that I'm going to have a guest. Her name is Josée Lindsay. She is an author, a public speaker, and supermom herself. She lives in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, so she actually lives minutes from me. And her website is joseelindsay.com. That's JOSEELINDSAY.com. Welcome, Josée.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, this is fantastic. So the reason I invited Josée to be my first guest for this show is, and actually immediately popped into my head the moment that I was offered the opportunity to host this show. And the reason I did that is because she embodies this whole concept of taking the leap, moving from a life that you tolerate to a life that you really love to lead, regardless of the pressures that we have growing up as kids to live a certain way or to follow certain cultural rules. And I want her to share her journey, her evolution from where she was to where she is today. So that's where I want to start. Actually, maybe you should start with maybe introducing yourself a little bit, giving a little bit more context about who you are and what you do, and then tell us about your story.
Sure. So what I'm doing presently is I give presentations. So I started off writing a children's book called Super Spark, and it has in there some of the life lessons that I've learned myself. And that evolved into doing presentations at schools, inspiring these kids with the message that's in the book. And now currently I'm taking that message and I'm doing a more of a corporate message. And pretty much that message is that by sparking your inner greatness, you can lead a happier life, that your happiness comes from within. And when you're happy and you light your light from within, then everything else in your outside life is reflected. So that's the journey that I'm on professionally, from author, speaker, and now going into the corporate world. But there is always a story to that particular journey, and what you're referring to is taking the leap. So I did indeed take that leap. Ian and I actually met each other through working at the government. And the really funny thing is we had the exact same last day from our government jobs. Ended up, our stories are a little bit different. Mine was that I started off with writing the book and doing presentations, and then the fear factor came in just because I wasn't specifically getting booked like enough times to get a steady paycheck, and I will say that fear set in to a certain degree. I started a job search and landed a 6-month contract at Public Works, far, far from a dream job. What I honestly did was, I need a paycheck. What can I get? I had been a stay-at-home mom for 10 years, so my university degree and my corporate experience was too far back to actually get one of those really nice, awesome jobs. So I ended up taking really an admin job. The pay wasn't great, but I'm like, I'll just take it. I'm going to go back in the workforce.
What got you over that fear, by the way, just the whole taking the leap aspect?
So, well, first I had to go and just try. So I had to try the government, and this is where I was so miserable at that job that pain was probably worse, being in that mediocre life and not even wanting to wake up to go to that job. There was absolutely nothing in that job that sparked anything in me. It was property management and really like booking cleaning contracts and like and I can't tell you how boring this job was. And there was, as you know, there's like great people that you work with and you can make your environment what it is and be as grateful as you can, but the actual work wasn't doing anything for me. And to be very honest, and I'll say this because I think there's other people like me, it wasn't just that, I had blah days. I had to physically remove myself from my desk when it was my first week because it was such a contrast from having done presentations in school. I couldn't hide it. I would cry at my desk. I had to remove myself from my desk before anybody saw me. That's how much the contrast. I knew so well that job was not for me. So I lived out that 6-month contract. I instead of crying, I got myself together and I would play these games. What can I be grateful today? I'd look in my bus ride to work and I would send blessings to all the people at work just to make that 6 months livable. I just looked for the good, focused on the good, and made that 6-month experience as good as humanly possible. But that feeling that I had was like a shrinking, just this awful feeling, knowing that this was not what I was supposed to do. So what made me jump is the complete uncomfort of trying to force yourself to do something else. Now, other people listening might not be as strong as what I had. Like maybe you're not in tears at your desk, but you have this thing in the background where you're like, I don't know, I'm not feeling so good. I don't think this is what I'm supposed to be. I'm not sure. So you start asking yourself these questions. For me, I had already had some experience of something I wanted to do, so it was more clear. So I took the decision of not going to find other 6-month contracts, of just leaving that government thing alone, and then fully going into giving presentations, knowing that there's absolutely no salary, no benefits, no nothing, not even knowing if I was going to be booked once. And how do you do that? Well, I just did it. And I took all the financial, problems and things that came along with it just because I had to.
Josie and I had a chat yesterday just to kind of get an idea of where we wanted to take this show. And she talks about, taking that leap and maybe it not being as rosy as a lot of people think. So when we see these people who have made it and they've got these 7-figure practices and they're doing their dream job and everything is mansions and caviar and whatever, and I really wanted to highlight somebody who's in the midst of a lot of these struggles but has found a way to make it all work. Yeah. And you have taken some serious hits on this evolution, on this journey. And I would love for you to share kind of where you're at and kind of what has happened, what you've had to accept and let go of.
So, like you said, we had this conversation yesterday, so I had to let go of what's the idea of success. And this is what I teach people too, but I had to learn it first. When I took that decision to no longer take the contract and go and do these school presentations, and I didn't even really know what this journey was going to be, but I had to get off this hamster wheel of this government job. So not knowing where it was going to lead. So I knew when I took the decision that I would no longer be able to hold on to my house, my physical house where I lived in, because rent is due when it's due, and your landlord's not going to really have an understanding of, I didn't really have that many talks. How about I pay you next time? I knew that as soon as I walked away from that government job, I had to I was at my government job and I sent an email to my mom. She had just renovated her basement, and It's actually, I'm speaking to you from it right now. It's actually quite lovely. Wood floors. They had made this renovation, and there's this bedroom there. And that was in the back of my mind, and I kind of emailed her, and I said, listen, I'm going to do this thing. I got to go do what I need to do. Can I come back and live with you for a bit until I figure this out? I have a stepdad. She checked with him, and she said, yes, you can come. So that sounds like, oh, that's okay. She moved back in with her mom. But to pack up your house, I had moved out when I was 20. I was married young. I've lived on my own for over 20 years at that point. I was 40 years old, coming back home with 2 children. And let me just explain the hit I had coming back home. My mom, when I sold this house when I was getting a divorce, so I divorced a while ago, so that actually adds to my struggles because my husband at the time is the one that had the career. I stayed home for 9 years. I had no salary. I had nothing to go back onto, so I'm starting from zero. When I was selling the house when we were getting divorced, my mom loved my house so much that she bought my house. So here I am moving back into the house I owned, and I owned a lot of it. It was paid, I was in a good financial situation at the time. I'm coming back to the house I owned, living in the basement, owning nothing, with no career, and the only thing I've got is this idea and a dream. So I'm holding on to that, but meanwhile, I did take flack with people who could not understand my decision. And from people, I mean my own relatives, and I mean my closest relatives, people not talking to me, people, they mean well, they want me to do well, so it was their fear of me not making it, like, why can't you get a job, what are you doing, you're lazy, you're just going back to your mom's house, and they're not understanding the work I'm trying to do and the effort that it takes, and all of the never mind all the self-talk I've had to tell myself to say, you know what, you're not a loser. It's okay. You can take all these lessons, and not only that, you can put it into your message and be more authentic and more humble and go from that place. And I will say that when you're having difficulties and you reach a rock bottom, no matter all of the self-help, self-talk, all of the things that I teach other people to do, you don't feel awesome about it for a while. I know I certainly didn't, and I didn't feel super great about myself. It took me probably a good 6 months to get back out there and go deliver an inspiring talk, because I couldn't be inspiring for a bit because I felt really terrible about myself. It felt like a little bit of a failure, like you've done all this in your life and now you have nothing to show for it, because success is your job, success is your status, success is your address, success is your car. I don't have any of those things, so therefore I must not be valuable and I must be a failure. So it took a long time to completely change my idea of myself, my idea of success. Ian, you asked me yesterday, so do you feel like you're on your 2 feet now? Like, do you feel like you're okay? And I said, well, you know what? It kind of depends what you mean. If you mean financially, am I back on my 2 feet and can be independent? Not quite yet, no. But am I on my 2 feet if I determine success? Is I've taken some serious hits, and I am now at a place where I've learned a lot of things. I am such a better person. I have so much more gratitude. I'm so much more humble. I can appreciate people's struggles. I've kept my positivity. I am content, and I am finally at a place where I am on my 2 feet. And now the inside, when I say, you know, the message is always light your own light, and then everything else on the outside will reflect that. I am now at a place where the inside is at a stable place. I know who I am. I'm confident in the message and the gifts that I can offer other people. And then that reality can reflect then back. But up until very, very recently, I wasn't on the best stable ground, but now I am. So now I know the reality will change because it took me that amount of time. Maybe I'm a slow learner. I'm not sure. I've been here at my mom's for 2 years, and that's the time it took me to be okay. some people it could take a week or 2 weeks, and some of your listeners could be like, man, I've been struggling for 5 years, or I've been struggling for, I think, actually, you know what, if you compare it to like a butterfly that goes in a cocoon, what's that stage called? It's that incubation.
Cocooning?
Cocooning,
no,
incubation, so you go up as this caterpillar, and then you go into this phase where it seems like a dormant phase, and it kind of sort of the phase that I was here, and literally I went in the basement, to do it. So it's sort of like a in between, and it kind of gets dark, and I'm not sure. But then you get out of there, and you're a butterfly, and you can fly. That's probably the closest analogy I could to what I feel like I am now, that I'm ready.
Well, I think that what you're speaking to is that place of uncertainty, when everything kind of it fades to black. You're not sure which way to go. You're not sure what's the best direction. You're second-guessing all the moves you made up until now. Can I really do this? Do I have to go back to that whatever crappy job in order to pay the bills? Or do I stay the course? Do I put my trust and expectation into the dream and the goal and desire fulfilling itself at some point down the road? Do I have to give in and do it the way that everybody else does it and play it safe and follow the like I said at the beginning, the cultural rules that we have and that we think we have to follow? And I applaud you for taking that leap and for taking a stand for yourself. And in doing so, you're taking a stand for everybody who listens to something like this, where they can say, you know what, it is possible. Maybe there are going to be some bumps in the road, but I can do this.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Thanks, Jose. This is all amazing stuff. We need to take a quick break, and when we return, we'll be talking about Jose's idea and a dream.
You're listening to the Live Your Life Without Limits show with Ian White, Life Fulfillment Coach on WGSN-DB Going Solo Network.
Hey everybody, this is your girl, Dr. MV, host of Singles Get Real. Catch the show every Thursday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you missed the show, simply check out my podcast. Thanks for listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network.
This is Cece Schatz, and I'm an inspirational speaker, divorce, life, and transitional coach with a unique style of healing from within. With that, been here, done that approach to life. I hope you'll join me each and every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time with Going Solo with Cece, where we bring you educational, informative discussions through the devastation feelings of divorce to finding yourself and redefining your best life. We will take a lighthearted and candid approach to discussions on the journey of divorce, parenting, being single, relationships, dating, and yes, sex. So be sure to tune in every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time with Going Solo with Cece.
Welcome back to the Live Your Life Without Limits show with Ian White, Life Fulfillment Coach on WGSN-DB Going Solo Network.
And we're talking with Jose Lindsay of joselindsay.com, and we were talking about her path and her struggles going through her decision to leave the government and to go into something that she was passionate about and not listen to the people who are around her trying to keep her safe and keep her secure, but for her to actually follow her dreams, move into her own basement, which is now her mother's home, to continue that dream. And she mentioned before the break that she had an idea and a dream, and I wanted her to maybe describe a little bit what the idea and a dream was and how she's implementing that. Can you share with them your idea and a dream, and then how you're imparting that information on kids?
Yeah, for sure. So the idea and the dream was really, at first I thought it was just writing a book and I want to be a best-selling author, but over time what that's done is it's just evolved, that it's not just about a particular book. It's really about sparking in people their inner joy, their inner peace, their inner creativity, and their inner greatness. And to just really to inspire, it doesn't matter if it's kids or people at work, adults, wherever, to inspire people to become their greatest them that they could possibly become, and knowing that the answers to everything that they're looking for is within. You spark everything from within, and then your reality will reflect what you're sparking from within. So that dream of just is really of being of service of people, inspiring people in whatever way, shape, or form it might come. So it can come in several books, it can come in talks, and it gives me the freedom then to do pretty much anything that would inspire people, not limiting myself just to being an author and writing a book. And even though I talked about my journey and there's some dark days in there, and I can't say it's still completely all peachy, there's still some moments, the reward of when you have those moments, you go give that talk. I went to go give a talk to 450 high school students 2 weeks ago, being in front of them and telling them to be themselves and to have an attitude of gratitude and to think positively and to be kind to others, and really noticing that the message is hitting home to some of them, and getting people coming up to me after and saying, thank you so much, or you really inspired me, or having those messages. It just, I can't even describe how those things feel. It's the best feeling, the highest high you could possibly have, better than any drug. And then it's just...
So what are they saying to you when they come up to you afterwards?
Well, I was there the last time. Yeah, go ahead.
Is there a particular story or something you'd like to share regarding that?
It's always, you've just inspired me. So I had, high school students, you don't reach every single person in the room, you reach some of them. 5 jock-looking guys from high school come down, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, they're coming to see me. And the one guy says, hey man, we just wanted to come tell you that you inspired us. And I'm like, are you playing with me right now? He's like, no man, your message was good. We feel inspired right now. Okay, thank you so much for coming to tell me, because often I say, I have this 1 hour talk and everybody's rushed back to their class and I don't always get feedback. That doesn't mean that it wasn't good. It's just they don't have an opportunity to share. And then that night I went on YouTube, and a girl went on YouTube and put a comment on one of my meditation videos saying, hi, you came to my high school today. It was a great presentation. I want to play music and I'm an artist, and I just wanted to let you know that you inspired me. Thank you so much.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So, and I've had, when it's younger grades, I used to get them to do, for appreciation, just a card to your bus driver or to your parent just to say thank you. Some of the kids would write one to me. Thank you so much for showing us, how great we are, or something like that. I've had kids give me their special rock that they just found that day and just said thank you so much. And it's just to see these kids sometimes look at you with deer in headlights, that they hadn't heard those positive messages. They may not have heard that they're awesome just the way they are. And when you get those moments, it's just... It's more than a dream come true. It's the best thing ever. So whatever, listeners out there, whether it's you make pottery and people appreciate the beauty, or you're an artist, or you're coaching, or you're cooking, or whatever it is, you get the joy of other people enjoying what you do. It's the most satisfying thing on earth. That is success to me.
Yeah, it's interesting. We kind of are in a similar line of work, helping people or inspiring people, and in some ways coaching people. And you never know if your message has landed. You never know what they've walked away with, or how many people walked away with something. But I like to use the image of popcorn popper. So you put the popcorn in the microwave, and you put on the microwave, and that's like you giving your talk, and then. Some things pop, and you see people in the audience, they'll light up. That's like the pop, pop, pop in the microwave. Yeah. But there are some times, at the end of the microwave cycle where, there's a couple, at the end. And even when you open up the microwave, there's, when you're about to open the bag, there's that one that pops right as you're opening the bag, and it, makes everything fly out. You never know when that popcorn kernel is going to pop. So the information that you partake, that maybe we shared something today that's going to spark with somebody, and their popcorn's not going to pop for a week, 2 weeks, a month. But it doesn't matter. The information's out there. People will take what they can. They will take the inspiration where it shows up. But it doesn't matter to you or I. It's great to hear about it, but it doesn't always happen in front of us. But the idea is that someday it's going to pop for somebody and it's going to have an impact.
Absolutely.
So I really appreciate the fact that you're doing this, especially with kids, which is something that I'm having a growing inspiration to deal with and help kids overcome assessments of themselves, basically so that they can start living their life without limits, the limitations that we tend to put on our children. And you're a part of that. So do you have any parting advice or parting wisdom that you'd like to share?
Yes, because the strand of everything, I've actually thought of that. I'm like, what's the strand of, I had to keep coming back to every time I thought of giving up, every time I thought the struggle was too much. Not only is it just you keep your eye on your vision, it's to really listen to your inner voice, always, at all times, because as a child you are trained out of listening to your own voice. You have to listen to the teacher, your parents, and it goes on, then you have a boss. If you can train yourself, I once heard somebody said, self-mastery is when your inner voice is louder than all of the other voices around you. If you can just take that, because sometimes your inner voice will whisper and the other voices around you are shouting, it's very hard and you can get confused. Listen to the whispers, listen to your inner voice, listen to your gut, your intuition. It's always right. So that is the main advice that has carried me through the whole thing. Even when it makes no sense, I listen to it. And it'll lead you always down the right path, which is your path, nobody else's path.
I couldn't have said that any better myself. Now, how do people get in contact with you, find you? Where are you?
So the best place to find me is that website that you named, joselindsay.com, JOSEELINDSAY.com. There's information about my book, presentations, meditations, and soon to be corporate presentations. This message is now going to go to corporations so that pretty much you spark your team, you spark your business, which is the same message I've given to kids this whole time. So that's where they can find me.
Fantastic, Jose. I really appreciate you giving your time and sharing a bit of your journey, having a real conversation with me. So I really appreciate that. For anybody listening, if you have any questions or comments, you want to know more about Jose, you want to know more about this topic or other topics you'd like to hear more about following your life purpose, following your journey, living your life truly without limits, email me at info@coachian.com. Take care, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye.
You've been listening to the Live Your Life Without Limits show with Ian White, Life Fulfillment Coach, on WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network.